Do you know your lines?
I mean, I always know my lines. You're the one that doesn't know lines.
Sure.
That's why it's written on your hand.
Alright, so I don't know my hand, it's written on my wrist.
Whatever.
Hi, my name is Abby Hunter, and I'm a part of a project to bring light to the creative community that we have here locally. And today with me, I have Marybeth Berry. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Marybeth, and how you became a director.
Oh my gosh. So I started in theater back when I was in high school, just because some friends wanted that they decided that we should take a class together, and it was a theater class, so I was like, sure, why not? And from there, I started to take classes when I was in college, just as an undergrad, like minor. I think I minored in theater in my undergrad at the end of it because I had enough credits. And I didn't do a lot with theater until probably my mid-20s when I got a job teaching high school and high school drama and speech and things like that. And that's when I really started directing shows. And that's where it began. And what I realized through the 2 years teaching at the high school was that I didn't know a lot, or as much as I thought I knew. And so I wanted to learn more. And so I went and got my MFA. I started in New York and was at the Actors Studio Drama School with New School University. I was there for a bit, and then I moved to Rhode Island College to finish it up. I worked under my mentor, Nom Panofsky, who is a phenomenal director from Macedonia. And from there, I graduated, and I was blessed enough to get the job here at USCL. And then from then on, I have just been directing, and really, I think, learning on the job, like learning in terms of what my influences were with Nom and with other workshops that I've taken at SCTC and things like that. I've sort of developed my own aesthetic throughout the years.
And how would you say you approach directing a play? Is there any specific preparation that you take beforehand?
Well, I think for every play there is a little bit of preparation. I am actually not a huge person. There's some directors that will go through a play, they'll research it, and they'll actually have all the blocking already laid out and everything, that their vision is already there. And I have found that I don't, for me artistically, for me that's not interesting, and I think that's just my own preference. I don't think that's interesting because I think I was an actor as well, and so as an actor, actors bring so much to the table that if I just am telling them what to do, then organically and authentically, they could end up doing something else that would be infinitely better than what my idea is. So I found that I will research the play to a degree, so I know, where it takes place, if there's any other versions that I need to know about. But oftentimes, that's about the extent of any prep that I do. And then I just sort of come in and I just start blocking and seeing what the actors start doing, and that usually inspires me to create a different moment here or a different moment there. So.
And with directing comes a lot of moving parts with actors and people. What would you say are the specific challenges that you face when directing?
I think there's a number of challenges when you're directing a show. First, it's obviously sort of reeling in your actors, because you kind of get a different, and I think this is anywhere, unless you're really directing on Broadway, then yeah, sure, maybe you have people that are all in 110%. But other than that, people aren't getting paid here. They may be getting a grade, but that's about the extent of it. And so to sort of understand that the level of commitment that I expect and that I require to do quality shows, that's sort of one of the things for USCL that stands out. Is we've competed against schools with much bigger budgets and much, better facilities, although we have an absolutely gorgeous facility that we're sitting in now. We find that we have such a wonderful space and we're so grateful for it. But for years, the only thing we could really sort of highlight is the acting and our professionalism. And that has been something that I have had to stress throughout the years. And we have had, and so the challenges have been that some people are not as devoted to the work, to each other, to the process, and we've lost people along the way. And that's probably the biggest challenge. But in that challenge, it's it's interesting, because I think that you end up learning more about the people you're working with, and you find that the people that you really want to work with, the people that share your true passion, they're the ones that sort of rise to the top while everybody else falls away. So, and talent doesn't always mean that much. You can literally have somebody super talented but if they don't have the devotion or the commitment to the work, and the commitment not just to the work but to the cast and to each other, and those are the challenges that are the most difficult to navigate right now. But that's been a challenge from the beginning. I mean, that's nothing new. It ebbs and flows, and sometimes we get a group that just gels together, and sometimes we don't. Again, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and when we get rid of the links, then we keep our strong chain.
And how many shows have you directed at USCL?
Oh my gosh, I have directed over 40 shows at USCL.
40 shows at USCL.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you say there's any throughout the years that stick out to you as your favorites?
Ooh, that's my favorites. Yeah, I think, I can tell, it's funny, I can probably tell you the ones I really didn't like that much easier than I can tell you my favorites. Just because I think as artists, we're always striving for, to be better and to have that impact. And so I think it's easier for me to go, well, that show was just a nightmare versus, well, this one was really good and this one was really good. But I think that there are just certain shows that really resonate. One of the shows that I had a really, really good time on was Spelling Bee. I had a blast. Spelling Bee was one of those shows that we just had a great time, and that's a good memory. I think that's a more recent one. I would say our last show, Grease, was incredibly profound, just in a learning sense as a director for myself, but with our cast, I think that we faced a number of challenges on that, and I don't think I've been more proud of a cast than I was of that particular cast because of the things that they've had to navigate. And then when I go back, I really loved Everyman. Visually, I loved Everyman. Medea was one of my favorite, and Medea as in not Tyler Perry's Medea, although I love Tyler Perry's Medea. It's amazing, but it's Euripides' Medea, so Greek mythology. But I loved that show. That show was really, really beautiful, and I think Laramie Project was another one that stands out in terms of ones that were really, really strong and just had strong messages and really strong aesthetics. And again, the ones that I'm mentioning from before were ones that I could do a lot of artistic messing with, which I always enjoy.
So we've talked about your directing, but obviously you act as well.
I do.
Was there one that you would say that you prefer over the other?
I started as an actor, so I do think there's sort of your first love. Like I always loved being on stage, and I love diving into a character. So I think that while I enjoy being on the stage, and I really enjoy being able to just not have to deal with all of the things that come around with directing, but I think that they're both equal in their own way. It's like my kids. Like, do I have a favorite kid? Yes, no, I'm just kidding. I don't have a favorite kid. No, but I love them differently. I love them equally, but I love them differently. And I feel like that about acting and directing. It's I love being on the stage, and I love embodying a character and those challenges that come with being in a show. But then I love directing, and I love being able to have a concept and see moments and create it. It just happened the other night with directing The Outsiders. There was a monologue happening, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's really boring. I can't sit through this monologue. And as an audience member, I wouldn't want to. And so I was like, wait, we could make this happen and do some tableau work or some movement work and silhouette and lights. And I love doing stuff like that. So that's always really inspiring to me. So no, I don't think I have a favorite. They're both my favorites.
Well, I know most of the work happens at USCL, but art and theater and all these things can take you so many different places. Yes. Is there any favorite places that you've been that theater has taken you?
Oh my gosh. So theater has literally taken me all over the world. And so I think my first venture was during grad school when I got to go perform. Actually, it was after grad school. Sorry. It wasn't during grad school. The piece that I did was one of my final projects for my graduate work called Maria's Pictures. But that, a few years later, I was able to take to Croatia and perform it there. And that was like a surreal experience because European audiences are very different than American audiences, and it was a piece about the Balkan Wars, and this woman had been raped, her daughter had been raped, and it was a very dark piece. And having to embody that character and then having to go to Croatia where this stuff had actually happened. Like there were still like bullet holes still left in the buildings as you walked through the streets, and then doing it for a audience that literally lived this or knew people that lived this. It was super emotional. So I got to go there. And so that was my first opportunity. And then from there, I've developed an amazing relationship with La Mama Umbria in Spoleto, Italy. I've been able to go back there. I think I've gone like 5 times. I've taken different student groups, and it's always wonderful because I'm always learning. And my students get to learn, but I get to learn. And so we get to travel and have those opportunities of performing. Most recently, we went to Athens, Greece, and performed a piece that we actually started in Italy and devised it there, and then performed it in Athens at their festival. And I think that's been amazing. And then even the opportunities that theater brings in terms of traveling. And in last summer in Italy, we got to do I got to do the show with my son, the On the Spectrum show that we wrote, and we got to do that in Italy. And so it's allowing me to do things that I never dreamed that I would get to do, and go places I never thought I would go when I started.
And to wrap it all up, one last question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say being creative means to you?
Being creative, I think for me, and what it means to me is it's going to sound cliche, but it's true. It means I'm living.
Mm-hmm.
It means I'm breathing. Because I can't imagine going through my life and not creating,
Mm-hmm.
and not finding a way to express myself, express my feelings about what's happening in the world around me through theater, through being on the stage, through directing different pieces, through connecting with people. I always talk about my theater, and in particular my theater at UCL, and I always call my theater students my kids, because they're an extension in many ways of my family. And so to me, being creative is it's that connectiveness, it's that living, it's that forming those bonds, it's that expression, it's all of that. So, I wouldn't be able to survive without being creative.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Cut.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should do another take. You could do better.
I could do better.
You could do
Really?
better,
Your
yeah.
questions were rotten.
You came up with some of them.
Because you didn't ask any. It does. Which is why
You would know.
why we get along so well. It's why you're my mini version. Why do you have to sit right next to me? Why don't you sit over there?
Because we're friends.
This might be better. You know how long this is going to take.
It's going to take forever.